I mean, it's a win, and it's a conference win, which is crucially important, right? As we go through this season, we know this was a tough team. Their record's nowhere near, the caliber of players that they have. We talked about it all week. I don't think we overlooked anything here. I think at the same point in time, they just played really hard, and they did a nice job. At the end, we needed to run the ball. They knew we needed to run the ball. We knew we needed to run the ball, and we were able to run the ball. It wasn't pretty, but I think a year ago, this is a game, that I don't know that we walk away with a win. So really proud of our guys' resolve, proud of their ability to fight here at the end. And then the first half was awful with penalties. In the second half, though, to come away with 5 yards of penalties in the second half tells me a lot about them. We just got to make sure we keep it with flow with them.
You mentioned the penalties. How frustrating can it be when you get to the end of the half and you see 9 for 90 yards?
Yeah, pretty frustrating. Inexcusable and frustrating. Now, some of them, the one was the kid kind of got by JT as JT slipped. I'd rather him pull the kid down than it end up being a touchdown, right? So there's moments where it matters, and then there's other ones that there was definitely not a penalty on the one where they called it a crackback block into another. It's just saw that one wrong, and there was a couple other things in there that I don't agree with, and we'll send those in and get some responses. But 90 yards, that's a lot of penalties. Only, second half to come back out and do what we did makes me feel a whole lot better, though, that they hopefully are working towards getting much better at that.
Jordan mentioned when he was up here that he thought maybe offensively some guys didn't come out with the right mentality to be ready to play. How much of it do you think was maybe a mentality thing versus maybe plays not clicking at the right moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, there were moments in here where we had things downfield and we just missed or didn't see them. And then in a run game, there were 3 or 4 that could have been huge plays that just didn't pop because we just didn't see it the right way. So I think those are things. You're playing against an 8-man box, right? They got the box is loaded, the safety's coming downhill, and we got to be able to take advantage of that. And we ended up, in the end, not willing to throw it, and I did not want to throw it when we had the lead. We wanted to be able to run it into that box, and I thought our guys played hard and handled it. As far as the mentality coming out, I can't necessarily answer. I thought they were locked in. I thought they were ready to go. It's a tough place to play. And I thought they drew a lot of energy from each other. It just wasn't our most, it wasn't our best, as far as getting started here.
Just talking about Georgia State loading the box, how much of that played into just not really being able to get into a rhythm in the pass game? Was it more of what they were doing? Was it more of your...
Well, I think we just missed some things in the pass game. They're on top of the box being loaded, they were playing off, so we had to take some shorter things. And I remember, 4 or 5, runaway routes coming across the formation that we ended up just missing on. One, the guy almost picked off. Another one we dropped. Another one, was a contested catch that we didn't come down with. And, you got to try to loosen that up and have something downfield. And we did take the one shot to smoke and just drifted a little bit out of bounds, and that is just part of it. But when you're having some success running, even into like a 9-man box, you realize, or 8-9-man box, you realize, man, this is a hard way to do it, but we are getting 3 and 4 yards, on some of these runs. We now have a lead. Like, let's continue to do that at some point in time here, because we didn't want them to get the ball back. That there's threats on that field definitively in the receiver position, and I thought our guys on defense did a decent job.
Even though the wins came in pretty different fashion, another week, or second week in a row where Wayne and Jordan have really kind of steamrolled the offense, just what have they meant to be able to lean on these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, they meant a ton, and I think that ultimately you get into the whole O-line as well. And I keep talking about it, but you go back and watch some of these tight ends and the run blocking, and it's pretty impressive. So I think that, they needed to do that. They know that that's their job. That's their style of play anyway. They like to do that. And Wade was able to spread it out a little bit more, too, on some mid-zone things and put his foot in the ground and make some plays. But Jordan, he's a downhill type of kid that just likes to bang, and I think he wears you down quite a bit.
And I feel like there's so many things we can ask about this defense and really this whole season.
Yeah.
I want to ask specifically about Elijah and DJ coming up with those really big tackles on 3rd and 4th down at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Just what have both of them meant to your secondary?
Well, they're both really savvy football players, and their abilities really, they got unbelievable football, talent, and then a strong football acumen. Like, they understand situationally what they need to do, and they're playing it deeper and being able to come back downhill and make those plays. And they're not the biggest guys, but they play physical, right? And that's ultimately what you need in those scenarios. The screen started to get set up, and the both of them showed up at moments when it mattered the most and made some pretty, heroic physical plays, which we needed.
You mentioned the size there. DJ was dropping in corner against Hurst quite a bit. And on paper, you look at that, you see the height discrepancy. How much confidence is it that you just have in him to be able to handle a high level, high achieving wide receiver?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, his skills are really, really good. He was pretty sick today with the flu, and that was the only reason why we started to get him out a little bit in the end. He was starting to run out of gas a little bit. But I thought, he did a really good job in an extremely competitive scenario against a really, really good football player, and giving away, I don't know, a foot. What's he giving away? It's pretty close. Like he played really hard and played as long as he could before we had to, sneak him out of there.
And I know the drives didn't end up with a touchdown; it ended up with a failed fourth down conversion. But Lakota on the fake punts, how much does that kind of bring into the special teams game plan? That not only were you able to do it once with him, but you did it twice on the same drive.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just the look that we had. There was really nothing we could do about it. I think punting would have been more dangerous at that moment, given what they were willing to do. So I thought our guys did a really nice job of understanding that, and we were able to get the call into him, and he saw what we were trying to do with it, and made the call and executed at a high level. But yeah, that's important. But we came away with nothing. Like we came away with 0 points on 2 fake punts in a drive. First of all, I don't know if 2 fake punts in a drive, I don't know how often that's done, but probably not a lot. But then to come away with 0 points at the end of it is probably definitely hasn't ever happened. So just disappointing that that's how that drive ended.
I mean, you said it yourself, 2 fake punts in a drive. You don't see that very often. Was there something in film that you saw that was maybe a give on Georgia State's special teams? So what kind of went behind the decision of having the confidence to do that twice in a drive?
Yeah, I don't want to talk a lot about it, though, because if we see it again, we got to make sure that we're still able to execute that. But 100%, very well versed on that. We repped it a ton, and it's a reactionary thing to what teams are doing when they get super aggressive. And sometimes they're willing to do a lot of aggressive things, which opens up, some sort of thing where they might be vulnerable. And I thought that we did a really good job of seeing it, calling it, having the conviction to let it fly, and then executing it. And that kid with the ball in his hand is pretty exciting.
How did you think Zoe responded after a few incompletions and drops?
I thought he did a great job. We just had a hard time, again, taking the top off of it. It was really had to be very accurate, had to be quick. And there's just things that we got to go back and look at and figure out a little bit more of that quick game identity of what we want to do and how we got to do it when they're willing to be as deep as they were in those moments. We got to convert on some of them, and I think that's something we got to definitely look into quite a bit.